Today we're diving into the eerie world of haunted dolls. These seemingly innocent toys have terrifying stories and dark histories. Grab your favorite brew and let's uncover the chilling tales behind these haunted playthings. Phantom Playmates, Tales of Haunted Dolls, Part 1.
What's going on, crackheads? We're back today, Cracking Cans Cast, with another great episode. And I'm actually excited for this one, man. Dolls? We're going to be talking about some dolls. And I know Crack Daddy Mike has been cooking up this episode now for a while, and I know he's excited to go over it. So
Yeah, honestly, the more I look into these things, the more they just freak me out. Because my house has multiple dolls in it, which I don't have a choice. I have a young daughter at home, and that's just the way she goes when you got her. And it is scary.
yeah, I know growing up, my sister used to get all kinds of different dolls, and, you know, you feel like a lot of times they're just watching you.
Yeah, it's because they are. Like these one we got 2 1 set today. Can't remember. They have names, but I'm naming this one Big Bertha over here. You know, what do you got?
One's going to be Eddie.
Eddie. I do like Eddie. I don't know why. that dude seems like an Eddie right there for sure. But yeah, I'm excited. So we're going to kind of do this in like a 2-parter because there's a lot of different stories out there of haunted dolls. But really the main 2 that I think everybody knows of are Robert the Doll and Annabelle. Obviously Annabelle, the Warrens made her famous in the Conjuring universe. There's a lot more details when you look at and maybe a lot of people haven't heard of Robert the Doll. If you look up anything with haunted dolls, he's kind of like the godfather of haunted dolls. That dude is scary. And listen, I was texting you earlier before, and you just say, hey, you ain't calling Robert by Robert. You just say, hey, I ain't scared of that dude. I'll call him whatever. Watch out. I'll say this. You'll be writing a letter to Bobby. I called him Bobby. No! No! Oh, no. I mean,
All right, you did it first.
no.
Icebreaker. You just broke the ice, so I'm good. I am good.
I will be writing a letter to Robert apologizing. We can just put him in the same envelope, I guess. I don't know, because that dude is...
I'm not sending it with you now. I'm sending mine separate.
Yeah, well. Anyways... I just totally bombed that right at the beginning.
No, I was gonna say though, like with dolls too. I just remember like growing up, my great grandmother passed away. She had all these old, like just scary looking dolls that were just like boxes of them, like in the attic. And I just remember like, you know, my mom, my gram, my pap just kind of going through the dolls, and I'm like, man, there are some spooky dolls.
Yeah,
like, spooky.
Yeah. I remember there's always one. I used to sleep over at my aunt's house a lot, and I would never sleep in the one spare room. I would always sleep in her room because there was a doll in that room. And she would like put it up in the attic when I came, but that was the room that had the attic door in it. So there's no way I'm sleeping in that room. So, I watched Child's Play with Chucky way too young. I'm talking like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 I watched that movie, and I have had a fear of dolls ever since that movie.
I think, too, like that mixed with, like, the, you know, PG that we talked about before, Goosebumps TV show when we were growing up, which would be, like, PG-13, maybe rated R today.
Yeah.
With some of the stuff in that. You know, you're talking about Slappy.
Yeah.
That guy, man, he was spooky.
Yeah, it was just all about... And then you even go back to the Twilight Zone episodes back in the day. There was a Twilight Zone where the guy basically was like a stepdad, and he's kind of a dick. Abused. I don't know if he abused him or not. I can't remember. It was a long time ago that I saw it, but the stepdaughter got this doll, and basically this doll's just like, I'm gonna kill you, you know. And then by the end of the episode, she did. She tripped him down the stairs, and that was that. But yeah, there's just a long history in TV and everything that I'm going to probably dive into a little bit more in episode part 2. But yeah, Dolls are freaky, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to be talking about dolls this week. We got some pretty good brews that I see you're already like halfway through.
It tastes good.
It is, dude. It is good. So what we got?
So I went out a couple days ago at the beer store, just looking for something that I felt like went along well with dolls, and I came across this beer from Drecker Brewing Company.
Which can I just say, the can art on this can of beer is just freaking awesome.
I don't think I've seen can art better than this.
Yeah, it's like graffiti-esque, but it is awesome looking can art.
So when I found this beer, and I'll go over like the description from the beer company on their website here in a second, but just as I was walking around the store, and I was probably there for like a half hour looking at everything, all their IPAs, craft beers, just looking for something that stuck out to me that we could do with the Dolls episode. And I came across this one, which apparently just came into the store recently. I guess Drecker, they have a lot of Drecker stuff there now. But this one stuck out to me just because of the can art. And it's called Garbage People. It's a double IPA from the Drecker Brewing Company. And it's kind of a play off of the Garbage Pail Kids, the like collectible trading cards that mimicked the Cabbage Patch Kids back in the 80s. I don't know when it was.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I don't think I've seen it, no.
So the Garbage Pail Kids is just a dumpster fire garbage of a movie. But almost it's like dude, it is so weird how they made the Garbage Pail Kids look. Like, imagine, like, big, fat, weird babies. I mean, basically just like the cards looked, but just these awful, I don't know. They are weird and freaky, and it's one of those movies that's, like, so bad it's good.
Yeah.
One of those, so,
okay.
Yeah, do yourself a favor. Watch it tonight. As soon as we're done with the cast, go upstairs and watch it.
I'm going to have to look that up then, but going off of the can of this, like the reason I guess it stuck out to me for the Dolls episode is like with dolls, essentially they symbol like this, toy that girls, boys, little kids have to make them happy. They carry it around, yada, yada. But then you hear about the haunted doll stories, these creepy son bitches who are just creeping everybody out.
Yeah.
So I looked at this can and I saw on there the first thing I saw on this can was this smiley face. So I'm thinking in my head like, okay, smiley face, makes everybody feel good, makes everybody all grand, yeah. And then you look closer and it's covered in blood and it's kind of dressed like the Grim Reaper and has like a sword in its hand.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, okay, like a doll, yes, it's very happy, it brings kids great joy. Then at night, when these mother effers come out to play, they come out with their forks, their pitchforks, not forks, their pitchforks.
Well, when a doll comes out, it might just have a fork.
Hey, you're right.
A pitchfork to a doll might just be like a fork to us. Yeah,
you're right.
He's gonna go toss your salad. Look out!
But then, like, just looking around this can, you see a ghost that has a smile on his face, but
he's so happy.
Then he's giving you the middle finger.
Yeah. Like, what the hell, dude? I thought we were buddies.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot going on with this can, but I guess those two pictures of the ghost and the smiley face just, like, in my mind, I'm like, all right, dolls.
Yeah.
Just from what it kind of, I guess, symbolizes. At least to me, anyway.
Yeah, no, I like it. And, yeah, so we already have been testing this beer as we've been setting up, but let's cheers to it, and let's take a big swig and give our thoughts.
Do you want me to go over, like, the description of the...
Oh, yeah. All right.
Well, we'll just...
Yeah,
go ahead.
we'll do that.
We'll
toast
toast
now.
again, then.
Oh, that is a good brew.
That might be getting, like, a 5 on my Untapped app.
Yeah, that's real good. Well, I'll let you do the description, then
right.
I'll give my full breakdown after that.
So, on the Drecker Brewing Company's website, it says, create and destroy. That's our process, and it's what we believe. Create experiences and destroy expectations. Crank up the good, turn down the suck. We're just a band of misfits hell-bent on creating a community and having a good time. Since we opened in 2014, we've made it a point to help make our community a better place. So each month, and I thought this was pretty cool too. So each month we select a different local nonprofit to be the recipient of our charitable efforts for the month.
Oh, that's awesome.
Keep an eye out for the next Unpillaged night where we'll donate $1 from every beer sold. And it says that they've donated over $100,000 to local nonprofits.
Yeah, that's really cool. And when I see something like that, that makes me, like, even if this beer is a little more expensive, I'm going to go have a beer there or buy beer from them. Like, this is a place you want to support.
Yeah. And I didn't say it, but they're out of Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh, all the way up in Fargo there, eh, bud?
So that's what I got on their site, and I mean, it just makes me like this beer even more.
Yeah. And you know what I think with Fargo? You know what movie took place up there?
Dumb and Dumber?
No, Fargo.
Oh. where did Dumb and Dumber take place?
I don't know. They were going out to, like, Colorado.
That's just what popped in my head.
Man, I really thought you were just going to be like, Fargo, and then that threw me off. Yeah. The movie Fargo, okay? But to go along with that, they have just some absolutely banger names for their brews. I went on their site. So they have Long-Haired Freaky People. That's an Imperial IPA. They have Thrills That Kills, which is American IPA. Birds Aren't Real. And we might have to dive into a cast to figure out if birds are real or not, or if they're just some sort of government spies. We have From the Feet Up, Night Machine, Lurk and Destroy, and they have a ton of sours, which I know you're not a sour guy. I enjoy me a good sour. Billy Him or Billy Me, it's one of the names of the sour. Chonk Pog Sunday. Yeah, I don't know. They just have.
Did you say the other one that I bought, Night Machine?
Night Machine. I didn't even see that. Oh, it is on here. Night Machine. That one's on there.
Which has like a sweet picture of like a robotic, like Terminator looking guy in front of it.
Yeah. So I mean, when I see the stuff that these guys are doing with their brewery, I see the name of their beers, and my mind instantly goes to these are some cool MFers that run this brewery. Like, these are some guys that we can get along with.
My thoughts instantly go to like, here's my money.
Yeah, pretty much.
Take it.
Yeah. How much and how much? That's about it. Yeah, I would get it. So, well, cheers again since I shot the gun. Yeah, and this, like, looking at the brew, it is definitely a non-filtered. It's really hazy. It's got a little bit of fruity taste to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that bad. I like my IPAs a little more bitter than fruity, but I don't know. This is
it kind of tastes more like a New England style.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but it's not so much of that like citrusy, fruity in your face. Like, it still has good bitter.
Yeah.
That is good beer. That is real good beer. And I don't think it says, it just says it's double IPA. 'Cause what's this coming in at percentage-wise?
Oh, I didn't even say that. I don't even know. I didn't even look.
8.5%. So, the words of Dave Chappelle, it'll get you drunk. That's for sure. But yeah, this is really good. So check them out. They're awesome. I mean, they seem awesome. I don't really know them.
Yeah, I just found out about them. But
yeah, for sure. And if this podcast gets to them, man, awesome. Send us some beer. We'll try it because I'm sure it's going to be good. But I guess with that, it's time to dive in to
the dolls.
The dolls.
So we just went over the intro. We just did the beer. Now we're going to learn about the history of these creepy things that we call dolls. So, Mike, when did these things originate? When did dolls just become a thing?
Yeah, I guess when they originated is kind of debated upon. Dating back to prehistoric times, there was little evidence that they played or had any kind of dolls. Many believe that this is because the materials they were made out of. So at this time, pretty much the only materials would be wood and fur, which just would not hold up over time, over being in the earth, over any of that, you know. And it wasn't really till around 3000 to 2000 BC that there were wood dolls that were found. So the wood dolls with their hair Whoa, that was weird.
Her.
Yeah.
Nelly.
Wood dolls with their hair made out of clay or wood beads were found buried in ancient Egyptian tombs. These dolls were used more for religious reasons, not for playing with like the ones we know today. Most of these dolls were offered to goddesses at the time. So basically what would happen back then is women would take these dolls and they would just like give them to a goddess as a sacrifice so that they could be married off to a man.
So were they making these dolls as well? Like, would they make the
I
doll
don't know.
and give them off? Or?
I really don't know. It's one of those things where there's just so much unknown with it. I don't know if the mothers made the doll and passed down to the daughters. I don't know how any of that worked. But typically a lot of them were found in the tombs then after that. So I don't know if they sacrificed them and just threw them in the tombs with all the dead bodies, or I really don't know. It's kind of it was odd. Then there was just this huge gap in history, and the next thing you knew was Germans making dolls. Like, Germans were the premier doll makers of the world in like the 1400s. So you had Germany, and you had some dolls being made in Paris, France, but for the most part, it was the Germans. You know why? Because them freaking Germans can engineer some stuff, let me tell you. And it just surprises me that, well, I mean, this was, never mind. I'm going to dive into just a ranting and raving about World War II.
I was going to get into that too, but I bit my tongue because I was going to say, you know, Germans really like dissecting humans, ripping skin apart, sewing up this, sewing up that, burning shit.
And you know, the Germans get a bad rap. The Germans get a bad rap because the thing is, we should all really hate the French. Because the French let them Nazis just march on through. But on to the topic, here we go. The French folded like a cheap lawn chair.
Well, you know what, too? French women, they don't shave their pits.
Well, and that's probably why they folded like a cheap lawn chair. I mean, I could really go on about this because I have a lot to say. We have German followers of this show out there.
Can we take
Let's
a second?
shout this out right now.
Yeah, because we've been wanting. I mean, I've been wanting. I know you've been wanting.
Yeah.
We got this guy from
Or girl.
You're right. Viewer, fan from, I don't remember where he's from. Her, them.
Germany. Yeah, I don't know where in Germany.
I'm about to look because I wanted to call this person out for a while because they've been with us since day one. They're like our BFF here. Mannheim, Baden, Württemberg.
Oh yeah, you said that perfect. I'm sure. That's yeah. You nailed that. Oh yeah.
I know, because like when our last episode came out, like I was just waiting, and then when it came out, I'm like, there they are.
Yeah, dude.
There they are.
When we drop a cast, they are within the first 10 downloads of every single cast, which is just awesome. So we're shouting you out. Look us up on social media. Because I'm going to say it right now, because I will pay for it out of pocket. There will be a Cracking Can shirt coming your way when we have merchandise made. I know we're rocking the merch tonight, which you can't see over the, I guess, over just audio.
You can picture what it looks like, though.
Yeah, so
it's amazing.
So tell them what the back of the shirt says.
The back of the shirt, it says sombreros, socks, and tacos.
And if you don't get that reference, you got to check out episode 3, The Hat Man, because that was probably my favorite episode we had so far. As far as when I got to edit it and listen back on it, like that episode was fun.
It got wild.
It did get wild. And we're fixing to get even wilder tonight, if you know what I mean. I don't know why I would say if you know what I mean. Like we're just going to take our pants off. Yeah.
But anyway. Germany. Reach out to us.
Yes.
Social media. We'll even have a guest appearance, man. Guest appearance.
Yeah. We'll fly in. No, we won't fly in. You'll have to be online or something. And it's going to be on our time, not on your time. So it's going to be a huge inconvenience for you. But you're welcome on this show whenever you want to come.
Yeah. United States Eastern Time.
Yeah. It's not going to be easy. Anyways, back to 1413. That's when doll makers started to become popular in Germany. And around Europe over the next few decades, Germany and France, which was Paris particularly, became the primary producer of dolls. Now, dolls were a lot different back then. They were still a child's plaything, but this was like a highfalutin-y thing. It was the upper class that had these dolls made. It wasn't just like now where you can just go down to Dollar General and get a Barbie doll. These were all custom made, custom ordered, and all that. So they had a high price tag, and they were more so associated with fashion. That was the big thing. And you know, you go to Paris. Paris is big for their fashion and all that. So these dolls were just dressed like to the T in all these beautiful clothes. Whatever the big, I don't know, fashion statement of that year was, is what these dolls were typically dressed in.
I know, like, growing up, my sister and, like, other girls, too, like, her age, I don't know if it's a thing nowadays, too, like, the American Girl dolls. You ever hear about them? Like, they're a big thing. You know, people are collecting them. People are getting them, buying different outfits and stuff for them. And I know that I can imagine just back then how the dolls thing kind of blew up.
Yeah, and it's really the same thing back then, but on even just a, like, grander scale. Because all these things had to be custom and handmade. They weren't machine made, or, you know, like things are just mass produced now. They weren't like that. So as far as the Americas go, dolls were found. The Aztecs had dolls back in the day, and dolls made out of, what is it, the cornstalk kind of dolls. That was like a Native American thing. So they were around back in the day. And I'll tell you what, if there's one, and the thing is, like, these people figured out that these dolls were big in Native American culture and stuff because they dug up Native American burial grounds. Yeah. You know something about them? I do. I watched a poltergeist. I am not digging up one of those things. What would possess you to dig up one of those things? Ah, these early Americans. If they knew the things we knew today.
So far, from all of our casts, we got, you know, we're not doing seances, we ain't doing Ouija boards, we ain't digging up no Native American burial sites.
No. Yeah. I think that's pretty cut and dry. Like, I'm perfectly cool with that being, like, the rules that we laid down.
Yeah, I think we just keep adding to it. I mean,
Yeah.
there are three solid ones to go off of.
Seances, Ouija boards, burial grounds. We out.
Next T-shirt.
Yeah, we out. Totally out. But yeah, so, and as America started to become colonized, and as we entered the 1900s, so 1903 is when teddy bears started to become a thing. And, yeah, teddy bears, which is, it's kind of a doll. I would count it
Teddy
as a doll,
Roosevelt?
I would say. Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
George Washington. Abraham Lincoln. We just naming presidents, or
Barack Obama.
Rutherford B. Hayes. I had to do a report on him in, like, I don't know, like 3rd or 4th grade. These teachers thought this was, like, so much fun to do. So yeah, here we go.
Who was the one that got stuck in the bathtub?
I don't know.
There was this big ass one that got stuck in his bathtub, and they had to, like, I don't know.
Get a crane in there?
Yeah, to get him out.
That ain't right.
I forget who that was.
I don't know. All I know is I had to do, so it was this stupid book report where, like, I think it was like 3rd or 4th grade, and we're old enough that I'm sure you were too. We had to use encyclopedias back then. Like, the internet was not our friend like it is now.
Well, even back when we were in school, which wasn't that long ago, because we're not that old, but I remember teachers were always saying, like, in elementary school or middle school even, well, maybe not middle school, but elementary school for sure, you're not going to always have a calculator in your pocket. Well, guess what? Sure do. Right now I got my cell phone.
Yeah.
Calculator all the time.
Joke's on you. And they said Louis Armstrong would never go to the moon. And now he's up there playing his trumpet, laughing at us. The teddy bear. Oh, back to Rutherford B. Hayes. That's where I was going with that one. Yeah, Lemonade Lucy was the nickname of his wife.
Lemonade Lucy?
And we'll leave it at that. I had to do, like, a full, like, I don't know, 2-page report on the absolute most boring president I think we ever had. The 19th president of the United States, Rutherford B. Hayes.
And, like, the best fact that he had to go along with him was his wife was named Lemonade Lucy. Yeah,
that's how forgettable he was in his So when now we're really getting off topic. So when this dude, like, when they were doing the voting, he just went to bed because he was just getting obliterated, and somehow he just woke up and they just totally won. which really isn't that far off from the election we had last time, really. You know, you go to bed a loser, you wake up a winner. Who knew? You know, but we don't need to get into the political science aspect of all this. But yeah, 1903, teddy bears. 19th President of the United States, Rutherford B. Hayes. His wife, Lemonade Lucy. Also in that year, I got to figure out how to say this. Kupai die? Whoa.
Kupai die?
Kupai dolls, which were based off a comic strip at the time. So I looked those up. They're kind of like the doll. I don't know. They're just a really basic looking doll. Maybe like a bigger head to the body. I don't know. But it wasn't until 1922 where we got Bilo babies. And guess what? Ones that close their eyes. And that, my friends, is where dolls just started to become freaking creepy. As soon as you started letting them open and close their eyes, F that. Those things should have been burned.
Humanize them way too much.
Yes, you're freaking right. And then, we'll just wait. And then in 1937, we went one step further.
They start shitting their pants.
Wetsy dolls. So they wet their pants. I mean, they didn't. Well, I mean, and sometimes when it can be wet.
Yeah, sometimes when I let one out, I don't know which end it came from.
Yeah, it can be wet. It's really not that, disturbing.
Yeah.
So we got to 57, we got Barbies. And then 83 was the Cabbage Patch Kids, which was just...
That kind of ties right in with our beer.
It does, right there with the Cabbage
nice
Patchers.
Way.
Yeah. And then in 86 was the American Girl dolls.
Is that when that came out?
That's when that came out.
Damn, I didn't know that came out then.
Yeah. So, with kind of a brief history on dolls, now I have a question for you.
Oh. Do I want another beer? Yes. Yes, I do.
Why? Yeah, I know that. Do you need one?
I do.
All right. Check this out. This is gonna be something I wanted to add in here. We're taking a Cracking Cans beer run. All right. So before you just needed your beer, I was gonna ask you a question. What do you think is the reason that it seems like throughout, I guess, around this time period, that dolls are what seems to get haunted or possessed? There's just so many haunted dolls out there. Why dolls?
What period are we saying?
No, I'm just saying right now. Why do you think dolls are what people want to haunt? What spirits want to haunt?
I think it just goes off of the innocence of children, and dolls being a toy for children. They know that it's just an easy thing to, I guess, get into.
It's perfect.
Manifest themselves into.
Yeah, that is part of the reason why. That most people think that it's just easy access to children. They're an easy vessel to take children's energy.
Is that what you wanted me to say?
I didn't care what you said.
Damn it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you could say whatever you want. You did good. Just glad you didn't go off some tangent like I typically do in this situation where I start talking about
demons and
Cuban voodoo and stuff.
And Cuban hotties.
Cuban hot.
No, never mind.
So yeah, with kids, they just seem like they're easy. Also, one of the big thoughts is that the reason that spirits or demons, which is my belief that there's no reason for a spirit to want to possess a doll. It is a demon that wants to possess a doll to get closer to us. But what the main reason is that because they have such human-like qualities. They have eyes, nose, arms, and legs. So as a spirit, it's a perfect vessel for them to be human-like. It's almost it's like a perfect practice to being human. So as for possessed dolls throughout history, there weren't really, when you go back into older times, there's really not that many demon or evil dolls written about in history. But there's one really cool thing that I thought. Have you ever heard of a golem?
Isn't he a supervillain in the comics? Gollum?
He's in Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Is he a supervillain?
I don't know.
He can't be. I would say he's a villain. I don't know if he's a supervillain in the comics. I never heard of it. Maybe. No, so there's a story that Gollum in ancient Jewish like folklore, which I was reading about it, and it actually seemed like something super interesting. So I'm going to give like a quick story on it because it might be something we could do an entire episode on later on. So in the 16th century, a rabbi named Judah Low could see his community receiving threats and anti-Semitic hate towards them. So the rabbi took matters into his own hands. This was a little different because he didn't use a small doll, but what he did was craft a pretty big clay doll of sorts. So he took all this clay and made it look into this big monstrosity of a human. And what he did with it was he summoned this massive and super strong and unstoppable creature called a golem. And with the golem, he was supposed to be able to control it. And as it basically just started destroying people, it got stronger and stronger and stronger to the point where he couldn't control it. What I thought was really interesting was took a bunch of rabbis, I guess, to bring him down. And I can't remember what it was called, but I assume it's like the Jewish equivalent of the Vatican. Up in their attic, they said this golem is just like stuffed in a box up there somewhere. So you got that. Another weird one was a story of a Greek god that created dolls, and I use dolls really loosely because these were more like robots. These robots were made to protect some island, I guess. And really, that's like as far as time, you didn't really see too many other stories. Besides, one of the first stories is the one we're going to get into later in this episode. Actually, I don't even really think it's later in this episode. It's kind of coming right up. But it seemed like the spike in possessed dolls came with the rise of psychic mediums, which I found really interesting. And it seemed like with a lot, and we'll learn later on with Annabelle, basically the psychic medium thought there was a child trying to possess this doll when it was a demon. So it seemed like through a lot of time that these psychic mediums would come there and they would be like, oh, I feel this spirit. It's a good spirit, yada, yada. Invite it into your house. And as soon as they invite it in their house, it turns into the demon that it's been the whole entire time.
Like, get over here, bitch.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now.
Pretty much. So it seems like with these just like crazy, insane, I don't know, these psychic mediums, a lot of it's just snake oil salesmen, coming.
I got you for 3 minutes.
Yeah. 3 minutes of playtime. Yeah. So yeah, but that's what it seems like. But really, it was right around the 1900s is when we have the story we're going to dive into today, which is Robert the Doll.
Well, not to throw us off topic, but
oh, you hit a well. We're getting thrown off if you hit a well.
So there's been something that's been on my mind all day, not all day, but just for a long time.
Let me guess. When is Nickelback going on tour?
Not quite.
That's the best I got. Wait, how many Denvers can fit in a doll?
Or how many dolls can fit in Denver?
Now we're talking.
I'm going to say like...
I'm saying 12.
12?
Yeah.
I'm going to say like 100 million.
I think I'm closer. Anyways,
so it happened to me today. I mean, it's happened many times, but it's just something that just grinds my gears.
Oh, he pooped his pants.
No,
I know that's what it is.
I enjoy doing that, so you're wrong. I'm going to ask you this. I'm just going to ask you in general, and then I'll ask you, okay, so what's your biggest pet peeve? Just biggest pet peeve, like in the world.
Ooh.
What's your biggest, number one pet peeve?
Let's see. I have a couple small. I don't know if they're right. Like people that drive gas cars and pull in the diesel pumps. That's a pet peeve because I have a diesel truck I drive at work. Biggest pet peeve. Texting and driving's one. Except when I do it.
You're getting
fine.
close. You're like right there with mine. Like okay.
Man, biggest pet peeves.
Biggest pet peeve. Like when it happens, you're like you just want to stop the car. You want to get out. You want to grab that person by the neck.
Does it have to be in the car?
No, mine's in the car.
Okay.
You've just been in the car.
Mine is when I go in when I have like just a horrible bellyache. I run into the bathroom. I open up the stall, and there is just like a 3-foot anaconda in the toilet looking at me. Like, you couldn't flush that. You were that proud of that
I
you
thought
couldn't
you were
flush.
gonna say there's just like 2 pieces of toilet paper just hanging there, and that's it.
Well,
Just 2
that too,
pieces.
but and then you throw in the fact it's not just an anaconda looking back at me. There's no toilet paper in that with that anaconda, so you didn't wipe. Either that or you shuffled to the next stall because you wanted me to go in there and see that. So that's my pet peeve because that got me worked up just thinking about it.
So this happened to me today, and it's happened many times. I still don't know how it's like legal, okay? But it has to do with driving. It's when somebody is driving with a freaking dog on their lap.
A dog on their lap.
Freaking dog.
Not just I'm sorry, not just a dog, a freaking dog.
Yeah.
That's totally different.
A dog on their lap.
A dog on their lap. Don't yell at me. I don't have a dog on my lap.
How is it legal to be driving with a dog on your lap when that dog could fall between your legs, it could step on a pedal, it could jump out the freaking window, like whatever. Like, how is that legal?
Are you asking me?
I am asking you.
Well, you see, I think going back to the Constitution, when we go back to like the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, I think that pretty much sums up why the dog's allowed to be on your lap.
Yeah, you're right. I'm going to start shooting every mother effer
Jeez,
that has a
oh
dog
my goodness.
on their lap. I'm going to take out the dog, and then I'm going to take them out when they stop to like condole their dog.
My gosh. Listeners, I apologize. I know this isn't what you tuned in for today. My gosh.
I've been holding that in for a while.
I can tell. Let it out, brother. Let it out.
Like, I can text and drive better than you can. Not you, but like people out there that drive with dogs on your lap. You line us up, your dog on your lap, me and my phone. I guarantee you, I'm gonna stay between the lines. I ain't gonna cause an accident. You're gonna be swerving all over the place.
Yeah. And like me with like 14 beers in. I'll go up against you. Yeah. I'll go up against you.
Let's go.
We're drag racing this son of a bitch.
And I have a St. Bernard upstairs. I'm going to put him on your lap.
Yeah.
He might hump you. He might suck you dry. Up.
Gosh. What the hell? That dog does have a little Mississippi leg hound in him.
He does. If he gets you down, you're best to just let him go and
just let him ride it on out. So anyways.
All right. I just had to get that out
My
of the
gosh.
out of the air.
We'll get back to Robert the doll. Did you hear that, Corey? Robert.
You don't got to yell at me.
Yeah. Yeah, I freaking do. You were giving me bad juju in the text messages the other day.
You're the one who said it.
Yeah, I did do that. Dude, and that was... You would think that would be like some kind of like funny plan I had together, and it is not. Like, I was totally prepared to show this dude nothing but respect because this is a demon, folks, just so you know.
And you think with you doing this topic, you would have been very careful, but you just blurted it right out. You didn't give me the chance to. I didn't even get a chance.
It's just pretty much, like, it just sums up my entire life of just total recklessness. So anyways, Robert the doll. So we're going into the early 1900s. Nestled in the streets of Key West, Florida, which, can I just say, when I think of where a haunted doll should be located, Key West is probably all right, New Orleans.
I'm thinking like New England.
New England, yeah. No. Key West, Florida. Yeah, no. But there is a reason why it was in Key West, Florida.
I was going to say, like, maybe he fell off a ship or something and landed in Key West?
No.
All right.
So when you're down there in the Keys, you got to think you're close to the islands. That's all I'm going to say. We'll get to it here in a little bit. So in the Key West, Florida, stood a grand house belonging to the Otto family. This house, with its tall windows and sprawling verandas, was the childhood home of a boy named Robert Eugene Otto. Robert was quiet and creative, often found sketching or playing by himself. And the key word is by himself, not with himself. Just saying.
Did he turn into a doll?
Listen.
Okay.
So, well, yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But one day, the solitary world changed forever with the arrival of a gift. The doll was given by a Bohemian servant who worked for his parents. Now, There's actually like a couple schools of thought with this, where he actually received this doll from. Some people say that it was a gift from his grandparents because it was made by this really, I guess, fancy German doll maker. So they think it was a gift from grandparents brought to him. Others say it was given to him by a servant. Now, this whole servant, all these servants in this house, this was a rich family in the Key West. This was a big house. This was a rich family. I believe the dad was a doctor. So there's some money going down here. You know, it's not just some Joe Schmo getting a cheap doll or cheap teddy bear at the time, you know.
And this was in the what, early 1900s, you said?
Early 1900s, yeah. So the doll stood almost as tall as Gene did, dressed in a sailor suit that once belonged to the boy.
Wait, who's Gene?
Eugene.
Oh.
So Robert Eugene Otto. So after receiving this doll, Robert Eugene Otto started going by the name Eugene. Specifically Gene. And he insisted, he was persistent that his doll's name was Robert.
So the doll took his first name and he had to start going by his middle name?
That's pretty much how it sounds.
What?
Yeah.
That would be the last day I listened to this freaking doll.
Yeah, and there's this, it's weird because it seems like when these people get with these possessed dolls, there's some kind of connection made with them where they cannot get rid of these dolls. Because later, we'll talk about stories later on and stuff, where all people did was just like take these dolls and put them in a trunk, and that's the end of the doll. They have no power in a trunk. But for some reason, it just seems like these dolls connect and just attach themselves to these people, and that really these people just can't let them go. They can't get rid of them. So yeah, so now Robert Eugene's going by Gene, and that's pretty much what he goes by the rest of his life. So the doll's face was originally painted with care, had an eerie, lifelike quality. So it's believed that this doll was actually painted like a jester and wore jester clothes, and it was supposed to be like in a storefront back in the day. It wasn't just supposed to be a doll given to anybody. So the boy decided, and here I'm getting into it a little bit, the boy decided to name the doll Robert after himself, and after the boy Robert went by the middle name Gene. From that moment, the two became inseparable. Gene's parents soon noticed something peculiar. They would hear their son talking to Robert, which was not unusual for a child to talk to his favorite toy. What unsettled them was hearing a deep, unfamiliar response. So listen, parents out there, I'm a parent. Corey, you're a parent. And I know your boys play with wrestling figures. We got, it's not even The Undertaker, it's American Badass from back in the day. If you're walking down your hallway at night and you hear one of your kids in there talking to his favorite wrestling guy, and you hear that wrestling guy talk back, like you know the pitch that your kids can hit, and you hear the wrestling guy talk back in a baritone voice like mine, because I know your kids ain't hit my voice. What are you going to think? You're just going to be like, oh, them boys are just crazy with their dolls in there. They just do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Well, you're going to hear some glass shattering. You're going to hear
Stone Cold's coming.
You're going to hear Stone Cold Stunner going out in that hallway.
That's what I mean. Isn't that crazy that like they could hear this voice and it's just like, boy, that's an awfully weird sound you hear back there in the boys' room. Like, that's crazy to me that no red flags were raised after that. At first, they brushed it off as Gene's vivid imagination, and apparently, like, that boy's balls dropping at 7 years old to be able to get down that low. However, things took a sinister turn.
Heavy balls.
Heavy balls. Yeah, bowling balls. When a strange occurrence began to plague the household. Furniture would be found overturned, rooms in disarray, and household items mysteriously moved. Each time, Gene would say, Robert did it. Every time. Every single time, that was always his response. Robert did it. Robert did it. The once peaceful house now echoed with Gene's nightly screams, waking his parents up. So there's a story where the parents ran into Gene's room because he was having a nightmare.
Well, did the parents, did they start calling him Gene too?
Yeah, everybody called him Gene. He insisted on it. His name is Gene now. He is not Robert anymore. His name is Gene.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, there's nobody is calling this dude Robert anymore.
Gene.
He is Gene.
Okay, I just wanted to make
He's
sure.
not Bob. He's not Bobby. He's Gene.
His parents aren't even calling him Robert anymore.
That's how insistent he was that this doll's name was Robert.
Okay.
So his parents went to run into his room the one night, and his door was locked. So they're trying to basically break down this door. They finally get the door popped open. They go in there, and every single one of Gene's toys is just thrown on the ground. He is screaming on the bed, and there sits Robert on the end of the bed just looking at him. He claims that night that Robert tried to strangle him in his sleep. I mean, like, as a parent, at what point do you become so concerned that it's like, I should probably take this doll from this kid? This is not a healthy relationship my son has with this doll.
Dude, that doll would be on a pile of wood.
You're freaking right.
On fire that night.
And now there's thoughts about that too, though, because if you destroy the doll, does that mean this because this is obviously a demon, right? Like
does the demon just go out and
does it
go
just
into something else?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what makes it scary. So neighbors reportedly saw the doll moving from window to window when no one was home.
So these neighbors just see this little dog.
I picture it like the neighbors look up. It's like, oh, hey, there's Robert looking in that window at me, and they're mowing their grass, and they turn around, and he's like a story up in like a window all the way across, looking down at them.
That's what I'm thinking too. Every time they look up, he's just in a different window.
Yeah, that's how it sounds. This dude just bounces. He just likes watching people. He's what they call a watcher, I guess.
He's like the Hat Man. He doesn't touch. He just stands.
Yeah, but this dude does touch. Apparently, he strangles children. Yeah,
that's what Gene says. I don't know if I believe Gene yet. We'll hear some more here.
I don't know. Gene's parents desperately wanted normalcy, considered getting rid of the doll, but Gene's attachment to Robert was profound. Despite the disturbances, the doll remained. Years passed, and Gene grew up, leaving his childhood behind, but not Robert. As an adult, Gene became a renowned artist. So Gene actually went all the way over to France to study art. So I think he went to...
He didn't even stay in the country anymore.
Yeah. So he went to like Chicago and then New York and then traveled all the way over to France to study art. And that's where he met his wife.
To study art or to get away from this doll?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So he married Ann Parker, and the couple were just having like a beautiful life. Like Gene was just thriving. Gene was just thriving at this time.
Throbbing. Yeah. Gene was just throbbing.
Yeah. Gene was thriving at this time. He was in this wonderful relationship, and that all changed when Gene and his wife moved back to their childhood home. So when they moved back into this home, Robert lived in the attic.
So he was still there. Robert was still there.
He lived up there. Like, his parents had furniture and a bed and everything made for his size up in this attic. This whole house was just like, this whole attic was made for Gene.
What?
Gene. This whole house was made for Robert.
I mean, they're missing a person.
They are. And it's like as soon as he got home, he just fell right back into what he was before he left. Visits to the artist's house would often hear footsteps and giggles coming from the attic, even when it was empty. The doll seemed to possess a life of its own, appearing in different rooms without explanation. Anne, despite her unease, learned to live with Robert, though she always felt a chill when passing by the attic. After Gene's death in 1974, Anne could no longer bear the memories of the house held. She sold the property and moved away, leaving Robert behind. The new owners, too, experienced the unsettling presence of the doll. Finally, Robert was donated to the Fort East Martello Museum, where his legend continued to grow. So this is like a big museum down in Key West. Like, really, I think they got like a decent amount of visitors, but it wasn't until after they got Robert and the legend started to spread that it became an attraction.
Damn.
So at the museum, Robert sits in a glass case, his once vibrant sailor suit now faded, his lifelike eyes seemingly following visitors around the room. The museum staff quickly learned to respect Robert. For those who disrespect him or took a photo without his permission, reported accidents, illness, and misfortunes. Letters from all over the world would arrive at the museum. All these letters, they started opening up all these letters, and they were just people apologizing to Robert for either taking a picture of him or just calling him the big B word instead of Robert. Like it's crazy. So there's one story where basically this guy, I'm trying to think how it went. He was in the Key West and he had visited Robert, and he just like basically just looked at Robert. It's like, you are a stupid doll. He went out scuba diving that day with like a group of like 30 people, and he got bit by a shark. Nobody else in this group got bit by a shark except for this dude right here got bit by a shark. So with this whole story, there's a lot leading to like what made Robert the like what he was. But one of the conclusions they come with, remember when I said about how there were servants in the house and that's who gave him this doll?
Yeah.
There was a thought that one of these servants was having an affair with Jean's dad, and when he broke it off or whatever happened there, she was actually I can't remember if it was Cuban or Haiti descent.
One of them Cuban hotties
Went and did voodoo on this doll, and that's why she gave it to Robert. Yeah, they think there's a lot of, and you're down in the Key West, there's a lot of voodoo down there and stuff. You know, you got, again, I think of voodoo, I think of New Orleans, but you're down there in Miami and like Miami area, Key West. You're close to Cuba. There's a lot of voodoo. Like voodoo is a big religion going on down there. So after that, Robert the Doll has become a cornerstone of Key West haunted lore. This story inspired books, movies, and countless tales of the supernatural. Paranormal investigators and curious tourists flock to the museum, hoping to glimpse the infamous doll and maybe, just maybe, hear him whisper back. So, the tale of Robert the Doll continues, a chilling reminder of how the past can echo into the present and how a simple child's toy can make the stuff of nightmares.
So this guy, Bobby.
Are you talking about the doll or are you talking about the guy?
I'm talking about the doll.
Yeah.
So
you, Bobby. Why would you do that?
So right now,
Robert. Yes.
He is stuck in like a little 2 foot by however tall he is, 4 foot cell.
Yeah, I guess so.
I feel bad for the guy.
But yet he still has some kind of power to be able to like bring misfortune. That's what's crazy to me. Like how strong is this demon that's in Robert? That's a strong dude.
I just picture like in Goosebumps where like somebody calls Slappy like a dummy, and he's like, "Who you calling dummy?
Dummy." Yeah, pretty much.
Who you calling Bobby?
Yeah.
Bobby.
Yeah, except Bobby just says like, "Who you calling Bobby? You twat," and then he has you like killed by a shark. You know.
He's just like, "The price is wrong, bitch."
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, it's a crazy story, and there's a lot more to the story. I wanted to keep it kind of shorter and summed up. But yeah, there's so much to the story. I think and it's really with all these kind of haunting stories, is just the details that are unknown are what's more interesting than anything. Do you know what that brings us to in the episode?
What's that?
It brings us to a Reddit post.
Hey.
Yeah, keep flapping it. Like, our lights just went out, and you keep flapping about calling him the B word. It's Robert.
Robert, I apologize. I'll call you Robert.
Dang.
Oh.
Dang. All right, but yeah, so this will take us to a Reddit post. Let's head to Reddit. So we got a Reddit post from Jill versus Everything, and this is about Claire, the haunted doll.
What's her name? Jill versus Everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jill versus Everything. So this is my story about my haunted doll, Claire. She's been featured in the book Haunted Objects, Stories of Ghosts on Our Shelves, on a couple of paranormal podcasts, just like ours, and the TV show Haunted Towns that aired on Destination America back in 2017. So obviously Claire isn't too haunted if she was only on Destination America and she didn't make the Travel Channel. But
yeah,
you see Zach from Ghost Adventures going there.
That's like an antenna. Like that's like an antenna versus like, I don't know what the top of the chain is now for like TV and shit. It's not direct TV anymore. I feel like it's like YouTube TV or like I don't know what the top of the chain is.
Verizon Fios. So here's my story. As an 8-year-old child, I was given an old porcelain doll by a very dear friend, Miss Moraine. She was all the time coming across things and giving them to me. So basically, like, this woman just, like, loves to give this little girl just absolute
Predator is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I hear, like, oh, look I found this just totally stupid thing at a yard sale. This will make her parents mad. I'm going to give it to her right now.
I hear, like, I want you to rub my rug.
All right, then. Rubbing rugs now. So this doll was the last thing that she ever actually gave her. I was never really into dolls at all growing up, but I took the doll and placed her in my room in a small child-sized rocking chair. The chair sat next to my closet and dresser, right beside my nightstand. The doll was very pretty. She was pretty in a peach and cream-colored dress with an apron and petticoats. What the hell's petticoats? I read that. What is a petticoat? Women out there, Women of Cracking Cans podcast.
Petticoat?
You can go down to her description on Apple. There's a little thing that says give us a shout. Click on that and tell me what the hell a petticoat is. I could Google it, but I'm putting it up to you guys because I do enough work during the day. It's about time you guys did something for us, okay?
Is it like a tiny coat?
I don't know, probably. That's probably all it really is.
That's what I'm thinking. Like petty is like,
Yeah.
a small little shitty issue.
Why not call it a coat then? Why's it got to be a petticoat? This must be a Brit. I don't know who this lady is, but she's got to be British.
Yeah,
Freaking
definitely
limeys
British.
always have to have fancy names for stuff. She had little black Mary Jane shoes, and when removed, show her delicately painted toenails. Her body was soft. Only her head, forearms, hands, and legs, from the knees down, were porcelain. Her lips were pink, and her dark brown hair hung in slightly frizzled and now loose curls. Her eyes were brown. Her cheeks were a rosy peach color, all like mine. Miss Moraine made a point of saying the doll reminded her of me, which is why she gave it to me.
So she molested this doll just like she wants.
Golly!
That's just
Golly!
So she molested this doll just like she wants to molest this girl. Okay, got it. Go ahead, keep going.
From the moment that doll, I named her Claire, came into my house, things began to happen. I was always uneasy with Claire. I never went... Just don't. I never wanted to touch her. Golly.
But she wanted to touch you.
Gah!
All right.
I don't even want to read that part back. And when I played in my room, it was as if she was watching me.
Wait, who's watching her?
The doll!
Okay, I don't know the doll.
The doll!
Or this lady.
The lady is not in this. It is all doll.
The lady is in the window. You just haven't seen her yet. All right.
It wasn't anything to panic about, but I do remember feeling like as if I did something wrong. She might actually tell on me. How ridiculous does that sound?
Right.
That's all you're going to say? You're just all right?
I'm thinking. It's just funny.
The first real occurrence I remember was when I was reading in my room. Ghost stories, if you can believe that. When a musical carousel horse that sat on my dresser began to play. Not just a couple of notes, like old mechanical music boxes will do at times, but like someone had wound it up fully. I sat stunned and stared at the little horse, and it moved up and down in time with the music. Then it just stopped. Not wound down, but just suddenly stopped. And this is what drives me crazy about people that, because this is in like the paranormal section of Reddit, when people just like blame everything on the paranormal. Like this
Yeah.
music box is probably approximately 3,482 years old, and it's just
It
crazy
just finally
that
died.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I was a pretty brave kid. I didn't run and tell my mom. I used
Yeah,
to
because
see
they never do right away.
Here you go. You ready? I used to see a shadow man in the hallway or in my parents'
Hat
bedroom
man!
door.
Hat man!
There he is.
There he is.
There he is.
Oh, I love
But
him.
yeah, but it's just like, damn kids, growing up for years, and if she didn't believe me about that, why would she believe me about the mundane thing of a music box playing on its own? I just let it go. The next thing that happened was the voice. For several nights, and on these years, I was awoken by what sounded like a woman inching
Yeah, a
from
woman
my
saying,
face, shouting
hey,
my name. Chili! Time to wake up!
little girl, I got got some candy over here.
And here's the thing, folks. If a spirit offers you candy, you make sure you see that candy first before you say yes, because it could be the sucky, like those freaking caramels that old ladies always have in their purse and stuff.
Or Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie
the plain,
Rolls.
the plain
yeah,
chocolate.
not the colored ones, not the good ones. My daughter's favorite. She loves Tootsie Rolls, and it's like they
My
they
boys
suck.
like Tootsie Rolls too.
They suck.
No, I throw them in the trash.
Yeah, our neighbor. He was talking to our daughter, and she said about how much she liked Tootsie Rolls. So our neighbor just brought her like a whole giant bag over for Christmas because he knew she liked them, and just smiled at me as he left the house after dropping them off. It's like,
Been waiting to get rid of these.
yeah, gee, thanks. Oh, man. I jump and sit up to find my room empty. Those happenings died down after a few months. She then started to plague my little brother with the same thing.
Is this the girl that's plaguing, the lady that's plaguing them, or is it
It's
the
the
doll?
doll.
Oh, okay.
I think the lady's it. The lady was in the first 2 paragraphs. She's gone.
Well, I've been
Get
picturing
the lady out of your
I've
head.
been
She's
picturing
gone.
this lady the whole time.
No, lady's gone.
Okay, lady's
She's
gone.
out of here.
All right.
She moved down to Florida, down to the Keys to hang out with Robert.
Key West. Okay.
Yeah. The little thing started to get to me. I put something in a certain place only to find it later on the floor or on my dresser, right next to Claire. All my missing items eventually turned up around her. Once her ring ended up in the pocket of her apron.
In my what?
Yeah. Golly. Books would fall off the shelf, and a perfume smell would often fill my room. The doll itself didn't smell at all, but the air around her would.
This is a good story.
Reddit delivers. It does. My catalyst to finally get Claire out of my room was the night I woke up after hearing thumping around near my closet. I opened my eyes, sat up in bed, and of course, my eyes were drawn
To
to the
Large
nightlight.
Marge.
To Large Tell him Large Marge sent you. My eyes were drawn to the nightlight where Claire sat. As I watched, the source of the thumping became clear. The rocking chair Claire occupied was rocking on its own. Why'd you put that damn thing in a rocking chair like you didn't expect to wake up to that one night?
Yeah, you need to have 4 on the floor.
Four on the floor. Just like elementary school kids.
4 on the floor. You don't put a creepy doll in a rocking chair. 4 on the floor, that shit ain't moving.
Hey, you put her in a damn trunk. That's where she
Like
belongs.
throw her in the freaking creek.
I had thick shag carpet, so there was no way it was rocking just by chance. If it wasn't enough, Claire's feet, which were both turned to the side facing opposite each other, slowly straightened themselves to both point directly up. This part still freaks me out 20 years later. And then turned her head, which was quite impossible to do since it was attached fixed to her clothed body. She looked towards me, and every music box in my room, 4 of them, started to play at once. I was frozen with fear. I didn't feel endangered so much as I felt just scared of what was happening. I screamed for my mom and dad. The music stopped, but Claire maintained her gaze in my direction. And this is why I hate dolls. Even after that, I couldn't get rid of Claire totally. I ended up stuffing her in a box in the back of the storage closet. She's still there as far as I know. So is the woman who now screams my dad's name in the middle of the night, and not in the kinky way. Wait, hold on a second. So is the woman who now screams my dad's name in the middle of the night.
Large Marge.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, what?
Well, I think she explains some of the oddities that happened in my parents' house. I don't think she is the tie to it all, especially the Shadow Man. My friend Tim Wiseman is a paranormal radio podcast host, the show Spooky South Coast, and also an author. He asked me to lend him Claire once. He heard my story back in 2011. I obliged, and Claire went to stay with him for a few months. He wrote about his experiences with Claire, why she stayed with him in the room, haunted objects that I mentioned earlier. Temperatures changed in the room, and she stayed in, along with hearing voices, were 2 of his notes encounters. Claire also stayed briefly at the Liz Borden Bed and Breakfast in 2012. The guys from the Haunted Town show encountered some of the things in my parents' house while Claire was with them. She now lives in my friend's old haunted house. She's a hooligan. So
She's a hooligan.
He and his Lua, along with the house's other spirits, tend to keep her in line. Just burn it. Just send that sucker to the landfill. What? I don't get it. What is people's fast? There's got to be some, just like people feel some kind of weird connection to these freaking
like they're
dolls.
They're like the same like being or something. I don't know. Yeah, because like I'm thinking about like the Goosebumps movie, and again I keep going back to Goosebumps just because like my sons watch it so much. Like Slappy and R.L. Stein, they're like the same like person thing. Like they have some connection with each other. Like is the same thing happening with these dolls and these owners of the dolls?
Could be.
I don't know.
Could
like,
be.
I don't know. Do the dolls need? Is it kind of like? Is it like Venom? You know, with Venom. And
That's what I think is
like
a good.
like the symbiote.
Yeah, like
like,
they just need each
host
other in a weird way, though. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So with that, that's what I got for episode 1. Well, part 1, episode 1. I've been getting up super early this week. I don't know how. It is 10 o'clock.
Episode 1.
I went to bed last night at 9:15, and it is 10 o'clock right now.
You're up fixing telephone poles.
Yeah, something like that. This is the end of part 1 of the Haunted Dolls. So next week, get ready because I'm bringing you Annabelle.
Ooh.
Along with a couple other stories. Next week's pretty much just going to be all stories, which is going to be pretty sweet. So check it. We got next week is going to be the Dolls Part 2. Bloody Mary is going to be after that, which I know is going to be a banger.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, with that, no folklore score for today.
We're going to do that next week with Annabelle.
Next week, yeah. Yeah, I feel like we got a couple more stories to go over before we really dive into that too much.
Yeah. Because we don't want a low score. We want an accurate score. So we need all them stories to get an accurate score.
Yeah, and I'm calling it right now. So, like, we've been kind of on a pattern where every episode the folklore score's gotten a little bit lower. The Haunted Dolls is going to bring it back up. Haunted Dolls is for sure going to pass Champ at 51.
Oh, my white butt is going to pass Champ at 51.
Well, I hope not. I don't want to have to write that on the board.
I'll write it.
All right. So with that, make sure to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube. We're on it all. What else we got?
Help bring our TikTok views up.
Yeah, TikTok is just
we're going down. Like that one I put your face on, it got like 50.
Yeah,
50 views.
That hurt my feelings. Yeah, we got like 6 views on one that had my face on it. That hurt my feelings. So yeah. So with that, I think that's a wrap for the episode. Corey, you got anything?
No, I don't know anything. That's
all right.
That's all she wrote.
I'm Crack Daddy Mike, and I'm out till part 2.
And I am.
What are you looking at me for? What do you go by?
I forget what I told you.
Are you like Crack Beard or something?
Crack.
Oh, freaking crackhead.
I'm Butt Crack Corey.
Yeah, that's perfect. Butt Crack Corey. Yeah, that's for sure. That's sticking. That's Crack Daddy Mike might not stick, but Butt Crack Corey's gonna stick for sure. So I'm out of here. Later.
Later.